here in Orlando with the homie Hi-Rez.
What up?
So Hi-Rez, you obviously have a very successful career.
Thank you.
But you've built a crazy social media following and platform too. YouTube's at like 1.4 million.
Almost 1.5.
Your TikTok is going crazy.
Yep.
You got almost half a million
yep.
on there.
Yep.
What's been the key to building? Let's start with your YouTube. What's been the key to building your YouTube channel?
Consistency, but also everything's been a drop in a bucket. I've been doing YouTube. I just looked recently. I made it March on my mom's birthday. I don't know what I was doing at that day. I must have been bored. But March 10th, 2010, I made my YouTube. And I initially started it making kind of comedy sketches with my homies in like early high school, late middle school. Like I just had shit laying around and I would do dumb shit like that. But I always made music, but literally every single thing I did, whether it was an audio release, a song release, a visual, a lyric video, comedy, whatever it was all just kind of a drop in the bucket to get me to here now. But the overall, like the heavy hitters were like the Uber videos, the McDonald's raps, that shit got a stupid amount of views, the Burger King raps, kind of like the raps but with an additional element, you know what I mean? That was always the thing that pushed my YouTube specifically to the next level. But my content, especially, that goes to TikTok. I'm always creating content that works for every platform, whether it be TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. It's always, I make sure that whatever I'm creating can be kind of change, like the format and the layout of it can be promoted across whatever platform there is, you know what I mean?
But you've been really good at like taking your skill set and your talent and your personality and being able to translate that across different platforms, but it's still like authentic. It's still you, and like you're really like that in real life. Like you're super,
It took me years to be able to come to terms with realizing I'm like, I used to genuinely battle like the smallest things would seem so big to me, like, and just like I would make whatever they say, make a mountain molehill out of them. I don't know what the fucking saying.
Yeah.
But like small things to me that I would always battle as a kid was like me being the product and me being the entity that's being sold. And I used to have a hard time coming to grips with that until, only literally in the last couple of years where I realized like I'm being me, I'm doing me, my music reflects me, my skits, everything reflects who I am to the most genuine degree that you can, without giving too much, you know what I mean? And it took me to realize and be okay with that to the point where it's like, okay, now let's mold it. You know what I mean? Now let's mold, let's perfect the strengths and throw out the weaknesses, and let's kind of just turn who I am and what I am into a business. And just me being okay behind closed doors in my relationships and my friendships and my family, like just me being cool with that was really the big step for me to make a living off this shit. Was me being cool with this fucking flies in Florida. Me being cool with just being able to turn myself into a product. And like I said, it took me a minute to get to that point, but that was the huge step for all social media, all platforms, all life, all of shows, merchandise, everything. It took me just realizing I'm the product and I need to treat myself like a product, but in a respectable way, you know what I mean?
And let's talk about the business side. Like you've created so many different revenue streams for yourself. Give people like an idea of what kind of revenue streams are available for an upcoming artist in 2020.
First and foremost, you have streaming, which if you're not tapped into streaming, I don't want to say it's too late, but you have definitely been missing out on a big revenue stream, because there's so many things that people don't even know about. Have you ever heard of Deezer? Deezer is huge. You ever heard, you know what I mean? There's so many platforms that are in other countries that are streaming that you need to collect your royalties on, and streaming is huge. It's more than just Apple Music and Spotify, but that's obviously some of the forerunners, whatever the word is.
Yep.
And but beyond that, merch is a third or a quarter of my income now. It's like it got to that point.
Yeah, you're rocking it right now.
Yeah, this is one of my first, probably my first season from way back. And I do seasonal merch drops every 2 or 3 months. I'll do limited runs. Back in the day, it used to be 25 pieces, and I used to have a hard time pushing it. Now I'm pushing 150 pieces in like a week, 150 pieces in a day, whatever it is. And we're moving on to 250 pieces, and these are just specific, hats or shirts, or that could be 250 hats, 250 shirts, 250, and we're pushing it, which is incredible to say out loud. I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, merch, streaming, shows are so important. I can't stress it enough. I know so many artists that are so comfortable loyal and just satisfied, and they're not hungry anymore because they're making 100K off of Spotify, or they're making even 30K off Spotify, you know what I mean? Because it's like they've never seen a dollar from music, and all of a sudden they're eating, you know what I mean? And I remember what it's like to hustle and tour and sleep in shitty hotel rooms and not make a dollar off music before streaming. So I still have that, I guess it's old head now. It's like an old head mentality, I guess. But you have to have that mentality, man. You have to touch your fans, not in that way. You gotta
pause.
You gotta shake your fans' hands, man. You gotta kiss the babies. You gotta sign autographs. You gotta be, but in the most genuine of ways. You know what I mean? You can force yourself to do these things, but your fans will sniff it out. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't really care, if you don't really love it, if you're not really passionate about this shit, it's only the money will dry up, the success will dry up, the fans will dry up, because they can sense that shit. We're all humans. We can sense when somebody's real or fake when it comes to our workplace or our school. And it's the same way in the music industry, or supporting an artist or being an artist, you know what I mean? So it's that same type of shit. But what I was saying is, shows are so very important, man. People, the first thing that's drilled in my brain since I'm a kid was, you know, I don't remember who the artist they were talking about, but they were like, they made more money off of merch and shows than their music. And even with streaming, that's still relevant, because you're streaming, you might make X amount of dollars, but people want to see you live, and people want to meet you, and people want to see the man behind the curtain, like that Wizard of Oz shit. Like, people want to see the magician making this fucking music happen. You know what I mean? It's so important. Like, your music will be cool for 6 months or a year or even 5 years, whatever it is. But if there's not an entity, if there's not a brand attached to that entity, then it's like, you might as well realize this shit is gonna run out. You know,
and you get paid way more per ticket than you do per stream.
Yep,
so like,
major facts, bro. You might be getting 2 cents per stream, a quarter of a cent per whatever it is. Versus a fraction of a cent per stream. Versus you or me, somebody who is in decent control of the turnout and the venues and the locations and the ticket pricing. So that's so very important. Whereas, like you just said, it's like you might be able to make $25 a head and net a decent amount of that, versus, like you said, streaming, where you need 100 million streams to make up for a sold out tour. You know what I mean?
You have, I want to get back to like the shows and the booking and the touring, but also there's YouTube for you. Like, YouTube is a big platform for you, which also
YouTube
leads to like sponsorship opportunities and that kind of thing.
YouTube last year, I was telling you, off camera, I was telling you, last year I was dropped from a YouTube partnership because I was doing 100,000 views a month. Now I'm doing like 500,000 views a day, which adds up to 15 million, according to 15 million views a month. And even if I have the shittiest ads on my video, and I'm saying this not in an egotistical way, I want people to realize this is a real ass fucking thing. This is a learning experience for y'all, how doable it is. Even with the shittiest paying ads, with 15 million views, I can get close to 15 racks that month. And I got dropped from the label, basically, whatever you want to call it. And now I'm, as independent as you can be, you know what I mean, in most of my scenarios and situations. And it's like, I went from sleeping on, literally for years, I was sleeping on my girl's couch, sleeping on my homie's couch for years and years, until 2 years ago, to like being able to buy my car and buy a place and do all these things. Mostly, especially, YouTube changed my fucking life. But I started on YouTube, like I said. But yeah, there's so many forms of revenue, from YouTube to streaming to merch to shows to, like you just said, once you catch a viral video, and you keep it going, viral.
People start knocking at your
People
door.
start not. You get an email from Dollar Shave Club. You get an email from whatever website it is, whatever brand it is, and a lot of these big brands, it's nothing to them to throw $5K to like an influencer, $10K to an $2K, whatever it is. So you're already making money off the ads, but then on top of that, people want an in-brand. That's a new thing on YouTube too, because that didn't used to be a thing. Like, anytime you watch a video, they say thank you to blah 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 for making this video possible, and sometimes it literally is just a genuine sponsor where it's an in-kind. They might just send you merchandise. It's all relative to who you are and how big you are.
It's the same with podcasting, right?
Same
if you're
exact
like,
thing,
if your thing is like talking, like have a podcast that gets popping, and like
they say we got to take a moment to thank you know, the baby wipes that were fucking, it could be anything. And going, you know, that being said, it's mostly people around me that keep me humble in this sense, where it's like, I'm not going to promote a brand that I don't feel is pretty close to who I am. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to sell a fitness tee. I haven't been in the gym in my whole life. You know what I mean? But I will sell, like I said, something that has to do with music or internet or gaming or fashion. Like, there's so many and so few things that, if that makes sense, where it's like, I think it's so important to be brand aligning, because then you have, if these brands see you just kind of shitting out like, thank you for the money, and shitting out the thing, they're going to be less inclined to want to work with you, because they realize it's just a check to you. It's more of a check and less of a lifestyle.
Right. So as an independent artist, this is one question that I get asked a lot at my sound advice sessions. Like, independent artists want to know, how can I start getting out and doing shows or getting booked for shows and tours? Like, how can I get on tours? What's the biggest piece of advice that you would give them?
I think the first thing is being willing, being willing and able, like, because when you're, I don't want to say drop out of school and don't have a 9-to-5, but be ready, you know what I mean? And be willing to do something, be willing to reach out to people, be willing to buy onto tours, be willing to save money to buy onto tours, be willing to tweet people, be willing to email people. Like, you just have to be willing and able to get ready at all times for, if an opportunity knocks, you can't be like, oh, let me talk and figure it out. Nah, like, there was times where back in the day, I would, like I said, I would sleep in the van for 30 days. I would sleep in my tour van for 30 days just to get on a tour where only 30 people were coming out, and I hoped there'd be, I'd open up for whoever it was at the time, and, just hoping. There was times where I would sleep in $30 a night motels and hotels, and there was bed bugs in the fucking hotels. Like, this is real as fuck. Like, I would do anything and everything I could. I would do a feature for $200, and that $200 would go to the next couple of days of food. Like, I was willing and I was able, you know what I mean? And that's literally what it is. Like, you're not gonna wake up and Warner's not gonna, email you and be like, we love your talent, we want you to be on the G-Eazy tour. That's not happening, you know what I mean? So you have to be ready to work your way up. You have to be ready to go to the venues, grind, call the venues, ask people if there's openings, ask people if, hey, I can sell 20 tickets, can I jump on this tour? If I sell 40, can I come to the next one? If I help you here, can you help me there? It's all negotiation, it's all give and take, and it's all a business at the end of the day, and you have to realize, like, people are eating off this shit and people are making a living off this shit. So if you're not ready to bring something to the table, no one's gonna want to have you around, regardless of how talented you are.
Dope. Another thing that I noticed while I was on this trip is, like, you're always tapped into your audience, like, whether it's through WhatsApp, whether it's through social media. I mean, you literally engage with your audience through every platform and means that you can. Like,
it gets stressful to the point, and I want to qualify this, statement. It's not stressful talking to fans, but it's stressful, being on my social media and phone every minute of every day. So I've been trying to find a balance of, like, I'll talk to my fan every day for a week and take a week off, whatever it is. So that being said, but yes, I'm tapped in on WhatsApp. I have fans in every major market, feet on the ground, kind of doing, like, real, like, I don't know if it's the saying's brick and mortar, whatever it is, like the real hand, to hand, like, contact, with my music. I have a fan in every major market, in London, in Birmingham, England, in New York City, in LA. I have maybe 5 or 10 fans that will hold me down with, like, either digital promotion or physical promotion, or they're gonna help me find a venue that's gonna hold X amount of capacity, whatever it is. I always have between 5 and 10 people in every major market that I'm constantly in touch with, that I'm giving private links to videos. I'm giving private links to merch before it drops. I'm sending them free merch sometimes, or I'm including a hat in it, or I'm getting them into the show for free. And it's so important, because they're, years ago I was like, oh, what's 5 people gonna help me, or how's 10 people gonna help me? But then I realized, like, 5 people talking to 100 people each, that's 500 people. That's 5. Those people tell people, and it's just, from a business standpoint, it's so important. But from a human standpoint, it's so humbling, being in contact with people that are willing to, exert their time and their money and their energy for your dream. You know what I mean? It's crazy. I just said it out loud. It gave me chills to think about it. Yeah. Where it's like, they have dreams, you have dreams, we all have dreams, but these people are literally willing to not just support you and view your video, which is amazing, because I need all types of fans to support what I do. But it's amazing to see those people that I'm tapped in on WhatsApp. Every day they wake up and we communicate. You know what I mean? It's so important.
Yeah. and I know this last question is like a lot more general and more broad, but I come across a lot of people at these sound advice sessions that just want to know how to start building like a real fan base. They might have like 1,000, 2,000, followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
What would be your biggest advice, either creatively or on the business end? Like, what can they do to really scale that and start building a real fan base?
Like I've been preaching, is everything comes down to your brand, your image. And when I used to think image was how you dressed, but I realized image is how you're perceived. You know what I mean? And it comes down to much more. It's who you are and what you are and how you talk and how you sound and how you come across to people and the energy that is it radiating. Is it negative? Is it positive? Is it, the sound of the music? That's so very important. So like, the product is just one aspect. You create the sound, you create the beat, you create whatever you do, you create the product, but you need to push that product, and people need to feel something from it. You need to make people feel sad or feel happy, or you need to evoke something from these people. You need to, what I've learned when it comes to any business is the more the people relate to it, is the more people are going to tap into your brand. And like I said, whether that's your music might always be sad. You might be a sad human being, but look deep in yourself and turn. It sounds crazy, like I said, but turn that into a business. You know what I mean? You might as well make money off of the things that you go through and your struggles. And I've learned that the things that I go through, you're gonna hear it in my sadder records, and the times I have fun, you're gonna hear it in my funnier records and my happier records. And I basically, like I said in the first question, I turned me into a product, and I turned me into a business, and I turned my sound and my personality. And hopefully you can't bottle up passion, and you can't bottle up humility and being humble. You have to fall on your face to learn those things. But that made me such a better man, just kind of going through a bunch of shit and being humbled, as a grown man. That made my pockets better, that made my mental better, that made my relationships better. Just going through the shit I went through, turned me and my business into a real thing, a real entity. So I think it's important to be you. It's important to be authentic, because it's a wide open lane. When you are you, we're not competing, because we're two separate people. We look different, we dress different, we act different, we talk different, but we experience similar things. So we're gonna be able to make money together. You know what I mean? And that goes together. That goes for anybody. You know what I mean? So just be you, and you're gonna be able to live off your music, your beats, your videos, your blog, your food, whatever you do. You're gonna be able to live off that shit forever if you are you, because there's literally no one that can be better at being you than you.
Boom. Kato on the track. Hi-Rez.
Yeah.
We out.